Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to be talking about modding, and particularly kind of the way I want you to start transitioning the way that you value mods, the way you view mods, as we transition in and of itself to a new generation of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And just to explain that a little bit, I did a video, a few months ago where I talked about the generations of Star Wars and how it's kind of evolved. As this game has evolved, there's these different generations of what was important and the big things that happen. And we're kind of approaching a new generation, we call it Gen Alpha, if you will, which is like the brand new generation of, like 2015 to, now. And they're the ones that are going to be focused on the, Naboo raid, the Gungan faction, right? That they've kind of transitioned away from this smuggler empire rebel and into a new phase of SWGOH. I'll be very curious to see how long that sticks around. It could be a short generation, it could be longer depending on what else they release. But I want to use this time to transition the way you view modding, so that way you can have more success in Galaxy of Heroes. So do me a massive favor, please like and subscribe, comment down below. We hit a huge milestone. We hit 8,000 subscribers overnight. Thank you guys for your continued support. You are the reason this channel has exploded. It is up to you guys. Thank you so much for everyone who has ever subscribed and watched. I just want to take this moment and, give it some shout outs here, especially to my wife, who has just been, as supportive as she can of her husband, spending as much time as he does playing a mobile game. But also, gotta lift it up to our king. And unfortunately, for most of you thinking that this is what it is, we're not talking about Wampa. I am talking about my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Thank you for giving me the, mental capacity to create videos on this game. I am saved and I'm so blessed to be able to bring this content to you guys. I hope you're enjoying it. Let's give a massive shout out as well to all of our channel members for their continued support. If you're ever interested in joining, that link is down below, along with a link to the Discord. And we've got to give huge shout outs again to the Wampa and Jedi Master tier members for all of their, generosity and support of me. I really do appreciate you guys. So let's get into the introduction here, get into this video. Alright, so I was saying, hey, I need you to change the way you view modding. And so what I want to do is kind of switch over to I actually created a Google spreadsheet to show you guys, of course. This one I might give you guys I'll have to give you guys view access because I don't want you guys just, unfortunately there's some, I won't say sensitive information, but there's some things here that I personally typed in. So what I want you guys to think about is mod score, right? And the way you think about mods needs to change. So right now, I just posted two mod scores that I see a lot of players use. You've got the Hot Utils and the Omega Bot, and they each kind of spit out their own score. Now, the score in and of itself is absolutely useless unless you're comparing it to somebody who's around your galactic power, right, around your level, because otherwise, me comparing this to Justin or to, Wombat or to Arnold is not conducive at all because it's taking into account your character galactic power. So Arnold has way more galactic power than me, so he's going to get judged much more harshly. Whereas somebody like Wombat or Justin is getting judged far less harshly because they don't have as much galactic power, so they don't need as many mods to get to the same score. So that's why you kind of got to compare to people around your level, and that way you can get a better indication of how your account stacks up. Now, the one thing to note with Hot Utils is that it's only looking at speed, and that the way it's valuing these mods, it's got its score down here of how it gets there. So the one thing to keep in mind with this, while I love that they show the score, I can't stand the ranges, because when you look at this, it's better for your account, for your mod score. Getting a 15 speed mod is better than taking a 15 speed mod to 20 speed. Because you're only going to increase your score by 0.2 going from 15 to 20. But you're going to increase your score by 0.8, right? Again, I know it's not like for like, but your score will go up more if you get a brand new 15 speed mod than if you took a 15 speed to a 20 speed. So again, and then obviously 25 speed worth the most. So they take the number of all of those mods in that range, and then they multiply it by those things. They get your score, divide it by your character galactic power. So that's it. It's just looking at speed. They don't care about any other stats on it. Just, hey, here's your speeds. Omega Bot is a little bit nicer because it is showing you, hey, here's your goal, here's your 6 dot mods, here's your 5 dot mods. Again, they both exclude speed arrows, which is good. And then it gives you a score, and you can tell even here that they give you the Hot Utils score, which which ties out to what I have here. The one big thing with the Hot Utils score that I don't like is if you take a look at this, and just it's looking at the total number of mods here. And if I just divide by 5, saying that on average it's looking at 5 mods per character, right? Because you need 6 slots on the mod, and so I'm just pretending that everybody has a speed arrow. It's looking at only 94 of my characters. Just for the sake of argument, guys, I have 186 relics. So this is looking at maybe half of my total characters that are relicked and giving me a mod score, which is just, I think it's really bad, right? Because it's not looking at enough of your account. Where the Omega bot, while it's looking at a lot more of your account, it's only looking at speed. And, you know, this is great and all, but this is a lot of information to take in all at once. So I wanted to develop my own system to rate mods, and that's where I came up with the fat fill system. So I went out and I created this. I went into my account. I spent a lot of time kind of analyzing all the different, you know, secondaries that I thought mattered, not just speed, right? We took a look at all of these and we developed a score based on, you know, again, that character galactic power. And we even took into account your 6 dot mods and developed a score there as well. So we're going to kind of show you guys just an overview of this and have it change the way you view modding. Because with one of the things that's great here is, yes, you know, speed is important. But I'm going to compare it like this. Speed is only as important as it's necessary. Is it important for my Ford F-150 to be able to go 252 miles an hour like a Bugatti? No. My Ford F-150 exists because I throw stuff in the back of it and I can go get all the lumber I need to go build a deck and then drive it. It's not happening in a Bugatti. So you can't just rate your roster based on your speed mods when you have plenty of characters whose speed is not the number one concern. While speed is very important, there are plenty of characters where it's not the number one concern, so we're going to show you guys those things. So these were the ranges that I used. And this was another thing that I kind of like about the Omega bot is while it looks at a lot more of your mods here, the hot utils is looking at a very small range. So what I did was I expanded that from 10 to 13 to, you know, all of these different ranges here. And what I did is I increased the score by 0.4 each time to basically come up with my mod score. Again, this number, like, just think of it like this. This number is garbage. This number means absolutely nothing without comparing it to somebody else who would have, you know, a similar account to mine, right? But the idea with the ranges was that I view a 10 speed mod and a 13 speed mod pretty similarly. That to get to 13 speed, you need at least 3 rolls. So if I look at a 13 speed mod with 3 speed rolls and a 10 speed mod with 2 rolls, to me it's worth roughly the same. 13 is obviously faster than 10, but I can have more potential to roll that 10 speed mod into something else. And so that was kind of my thought process with these ranges. And then obviously the score, it can be whatever you want, but like the 0.4 made sense because each area is kind of going up by 4 speed, right? The low end and the high end go up by 4 each time. So that was how the score goes. So that gave me a score here. And just to kind of show you from a proof of concept that if I take the number of mods that I'm looking at now and divide it by 5, which is the same thing I did for the hot utils, I'm looking at a total of 198 characters now, which is a far better representation of my mods in my account. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because, again, speed is it's the most common stat. It's probably overall the most important. But I think a lot of these other stats, especially as we've gotten into some of these raids and other things, they're getting a lot more important. So let me show you what I did with offense percent. So with offense percent, I used this minimum range. And I said, okay, you've got to be at least 2%, but no higher than 2.99. And so I went through my roster and I counted every single mod. I mean, guys, this took, to tell you just how long this took, just to show you like my process, because this is not developed into a bot, right? I had to go pull all this manually. I literally went through and did this. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I went through here, right? I clicked on like just anybody and I said, okay, come here and do, you know, offense percent and sort by offense percent. And then literally just counted down to say, okay, you know, this is the first mod I'm going to count here. Let's go all the way up. Look, like 1.99, nope. 1.99, nope. There, 2%. So like this was the first mod that I counted and just went all the way up until I found each different, you know, grouping and where it ended, right? That was how I did this. That, like, just to give you guys perspective on how long this took, I did that for all of these stats. So I went in, counted all these things, and developed a score to basically say, hey, here's your mod score for offense. The one thing we did differently here was I divided or basically multiplied my score by 3. Or in essence, divided my character GP by 3. When you think about this game, right, what you got to think about is when you're looking at mods and you're looking at the secondary stats, remember something. when you go to like filter your characters here, you've got attackers, healers, supports, and tanks. So there's 4 categories of characters. But if we're all honest with ourselves, just to show you something, like there are 13 healers in the game. So these guys are basically supports. So I lumped them in together with support to say healer support is the exact same thing to me. And the game often does that. Like when you look at a lot of these different characters, like kits, you know, Dash Rendar is a great example here. And you look at his leader, you know, look, support or healer gain the same thing. So I kind of use that as my judgment to say you could basically break the game into 3 categories: attackers, supports, and tanks. So when I was analyzing my mods, I was saying, you know what? It's not fair to analyze offense percent as a stat for every single character because roughly only a third of my characters actually want offense percent. Now, I did not do the math to figure out if there's more attackers or supports or tanks. Like there's probably more attackers, but I just divided by 3 for the sake of argument. This is my mod rating system. I get to do what I want. But again, each grouping goes up by 0.4 just like I did with speed. Only difference is there are more ranges here with the secondary stats that are percents than the speed, simply because like speed is kind of this like singular, how do I say it? It's the one that matters the most. So I felt like if I expanded it anymore, like it would get way too much of a headache. I already did like the ranges already did. It took enough of my time that I looked at, 990 mods at the time of recording. So did this with offense percent. Did the same thing with defense percent. Went through, counted with all of these ranges in mind. So like 3.99, just for the sake, I did not get rounded up here. And we went all the way up to, a percent. That made sense for me. Again, multiplying by 3. The ranges, you may ask, like, where did I develop them? Just kind of looked at them like this. Just to show you guys the way I want you to think about it a little bit, right? A little bit of context here. So the reason why this stuff is important is because it's going to give you the idea of, hey, that's actually a really good mod, even if it doesn't roll XYZ stats. But what I did was I kind of looked at these mods and said, okay, defense can roll anywhere from 4%, 2% to 4%. So like if you get 4%, you're that's 100% of a roll. That is insane, right? It's very hard to do that. But this was kind of the way that I just looked at these different ranges, and that was kind of how I came up with how I wanted to judge the mods. So that's just a little bit of background there. So again, did this with defense percent. Again, looking at that from the, going up by 0.4 each time and developing a score. Health percent, similar situation, right? We did all of this work. So again, I'm not going to go into every single one of these. I will link this below if you at least want to take a look at it. But I analyzed all of these stats to say, hey, how many of these do I have? And then I developed a score and added them all up. And then my stat mod score is simply just the average of all of these things, right? How many of them, what's the average score there? I felt that was the best thing to do for everything, right? And again, just going back to the score, like you're taking your character GP, dividing by 100,000, and the multiplication is happening. But I developed my mod score. Similar situation with the 6-dot mods. I took the number of 6-dot mods I have by my character GP less 100,000, kind of stealing a little bit from what the hot utils did with this, right? Your squad GP divided by 100,000. I felt that was a good idea of how to do this. So this gave me a mod score. Now again, the difference between my mod score and the hot utils realistically is that I'm reducing my score to say, hey, my speed mods have the best ratings, but the rest of these are not near what my speed mods are. So I'm going to lower that a little bit to say, hey, Phil, like you've got garbage defense percent mods. You've got garbage health percent mods. You've actually got really good potency. So by doing that, I felt a lot more confident that I was able to judge my mods accurately. And so I want you guys to kind of think in this mindset. Now, doing this analysis for yourself takes a lot of work. It took me a while to pull this all together. But if I can get you to think about mods like this, that, your offense percent is very important for certain characters, right? What's your score there? What's your score here? What's your score here? Are you just one of those people where all you care about is speed? Because speed is great up until the point that character cares about it. Having 150 speed on your Dark Trooper is not really going to help if he can't hit hard enough to kill somebody and get that turn meter train started, right? You can have all the speed in the world on your, Chrysanthemum, but if he doesn't have any defense percent or health or protection, and he's kind of not filling his purpose as a character, right? Like, he's not there to take turns. He's there to be a meat shield. So I think by analyzing my mods this way, I got a better idea of areas I need to work on, and it's allowing me to help transition my mods as we get into this new era where you're having to mod more and more characters, right? I think one thing that I really noticed about this game is, if we flip back over here, is that in the past, you didn't quite need as many mods on a specific team, right? We were constantly switching mods around because, oh yeah, these are my TB mods, these are my raid mods, but with Grand Arena, territory battles, all these raids, like, it's getting really, really expensive to switch mods for a lot of people. And so it's better to kind of accumulate all of these mods that you can put on somebody, and that way you don't have to constantly change mods around. So if I can get you guys to kind of think like that of, hey, this mod has really good potential for a bunch of different people, and that's going to help your mod score as a whole. Because I think so often what we see is, I'm just going to use an example here on Grandmaster Yoda. So I purchased this mod in the store yesterday, and I got 5 offense rolls right off the bat. Like, it was a 5-dot mod with 5 offense rolls, and I fortunately sliced it up, and I got some speed on it. But to a lot of people, they might not have kept this because it didn't roll speed. But I, recognizing that, hey, you know what? I kind of like the offense percent. If I can get some speed slices here, this is going to be a far, greater mod for me. I'm going to take it. So get in the habit of looking at mods beyond just speed, because speed is great, but you end up with mods like this when you care about speed. Like, and this is a prime example. 11 speed. People would say that this mod is better than this mod because this one's faster. Like, these are garbage stats. Like, these are just throwaways. You're talking about 6% offense, like the majority of the way to a primary mod. Like, this is way better. So that was kind of the purpose of me doing this, is I want to start giving credit to players whose mods reflect not only the speed, but secondary stats as well. Because even on somebody like Scout Trooper, right? Like health percent, potency, right? Some of these other stats can be really, really important to characters. Like, Lord Vader here, protection, speed, offense percent. Captain Rex got some offense. If we go down here to say, Leia, we've got defense percent and tenacity. Over here, right? Health and protection. Like, there's some stats that can really make mods significantly better, rather than just looking at 20 speed versus, 12 or whatever. That if it's got good stats on it, it's worth a lot more to me. So that's enough rambling. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys want to potentially have me look at your mods like that, gonna need to DM me and figure something out. Because I'm not gonna lie, guys, it probably took me over an hour to go through my mods, make sure I had everything right. Now, obviously, I've got a lot more than some of the rest of you, so that was a little bit easier. But let me know your thoughts. Hopefully you enjoy this. Hopefully this helps you transition your account to thinking about mods outside of just speed, because it is something I'm noticing a lot, where people kind of just judge a mod based on how fast it is and not if it's actually helping that character with other stats that they want. So I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.